Warren stood outside Heeseung's penthouse, arms full to the point it almost felt comical. A laptop bag hung from one shoulder, a thick bundle of neatly clipped files pressed against her chest. Her phone was wedged awkwardly between her wrist and elbow, buzzing for the third time in a minute. She shifted her way and exhaled. The man could have at least warned me he was dying. The door opened before she could ring the bell. Again. "Miss Wine." The maid smiled warmly. "Stepping aside, please come in." The familiar scent of the penthouse washed over her. Clean linen, expensive coffee, faint citrus from the floor cleaner. It felt strange how normal it felt, almost like coming home. Before she could take 2 steps inside, Wine, a blurred curls and tiny soaked feet came charging toward her. Aria, Wine barely had time to react before the 5-year-old wrapped her arms tightly around Wine's legs, giggling like he'd been waiting all day for this exact moment. Wine laughed softly, immediately setting her things down. "Hey, baby." Arya looked up at her with bright eyes. "You came?" "I always come," Wine said gently, crouching to scoop her up. "You know that?" Arya squealed as Wine lifted her, small arms looping around her neck. "Papa said you would." Of course he did. Wine smoothed Arya's hair back, her smile softening. She had watched his child grow. First steps, first words, grabbed his tiny tantrums, even after Heeseung's divorce. Nothing about Arya's world had even felt broken. If anything, it had been filled with more quiet love than most families she knew. "She's been waiting since afternoon," the maid said fondly. "Refused her nap." Wyan chuckled. "That explains the energy." "Miss Wyan," the maid continued, lowering her voice slightly. "Mr. Heeseung has a fever. The nanny is leaving early since you are here." Wyan's smile faded just a little. "How bad?" The maid sighed. "He refuses to rest." This sounded exactly like him, as if summoned by complaint alone. Slow footsteps echoed from the staircase. Wyan looked up. Heeseung was coming down from the upper floor, one hand loosely gripping the railing. His usually sharp posture was dulled. His hair was slightly messy, falling into his eyes. His nose was red, his eyes glossy and tired. He wore a simple black sweater and lounge pants. No suit, no watch, no armor. He looked human and sick. Their eyes met. Something softened instantly in his expressions. "You are really," he said, voice slightly hoarse. "You sound awful," Ryan replied without thinking. Aria gasped dramatically. Papa is sick. I hear that, Heeseung muttered. Wine adjusted Aria on her hip and walked closer. You are sick, you said, flew on the phone like it was nothing. Heeseung shrugged weakly. It's manageable. Wine raised a brow. You are burning. He reached out without hesitation, pressing the back of her hand to his forehead. Hot, way too hot. She frowned. Heeseung. He watched her quietly, eyes unreadable, as if just being looked at like this already felt like medicine. I am fine, he said again, less convincingly. No, you are not. Arya leaned forward, pressing her tiny palm to his cheek. Papa, you are warm. Heeseung sighed, closing his eyes for a brief second. I am surrounded. Wan shot him a look. Go upstairs. Bed now. He blinked. Wan? No, she shifted Arya to her other hip. No, but no. 5 minutes. I will handle Arya. The files, dinner, everything. You are useless like this. That earned a weak laugh. Did you just call your boss useless? Yes, Warren said calmly. And if you argue, I will cancel tomorrow's meeting myself. That did it. Heeseung gave up with a quiet inhale. Fine. He leaned down and kissed Arya's hair. Be good. I am always good, Arya declared proudly. He ruffled her curls, then glanced back at Ryan, longer this time. Something unspoken passed between them. Thank you, he said softly. Ryan smiled gentler. Now go. He disappeared upstairs. The nanny waved goodbye soon after, leaving the penthouse filled with a quieter, warmer kind of noise. Arya tugged Ryan's sleeve. Can I show you my drawing? Of course. Arya dragged her toward the couch, talking non-stop about school, about her friend Meena, about how Baba sneezed 6 times in a row and scared her. Ryan listened to every word, laughing when Arya laughed, reacting with dramatic gasps when required. For a while the world slowed. 3 hours later, the kitchen lights glowed warmly. Ryan stood at the stove, stirring a pot of soup. Steam curled upward, fogging the air with comfort. Arya sat on the counter, legs swinging, watching seriously. Papa likes soup when he is sick, Arya announced. I know, Ryan smiled. That's why we are making it. The apartment was quiet, too quiet. Ryan turned. Heeseung stood in the doorway, leaning against the frame, arms crossed loosely. He looked tired, softer, domestic in a way that made her chest ache. Go back to bed, Ryan said gently. I smelled soup, he replied. She smiled despite herself. For a moment, none of them spoke. It felt like a family, and that scared her more than she wanted to admit. The soup bubbled softly, the only sound breaking the stillness. Aria hummed to herself, swinging her legs completely unbothered. By the way, the air between the two adults felt suddenly heavier. Wyan turned back to the stove, stirring slowly. You are supposed to be resting. I am, Heeseung said, voice lazy. I walked 5 steps. She glanced at him over her shoulder. You are leaning because you are lazy. He didn't deny it. Arya tilted her head, eyes narrowing in serious observation. Papa, you are supposed to listen to Ryan. Heeseung raised a brow. Oh, since when? Since always, Arya replied proudly. You listen when Ryan says things. Ryan snorted before she could stop herself. Heeseung looked between them. Is that so? Yes. Arya nodded firmly. You smile different. Ryan froze for half a second. Heeseung's lips twitched. Do I? Arya nodded again. Smile like this. She attempted a crooked imitation that looked nothing like him. Heeseung laughed softly, then immediately winked. Okay, okay, I surrender. Wine sighed, clapping a bowl and ladling soup into it. Sit at the table. If you fall, I am not catching you. That's cruel. You are dramatic. But he obeyed. Heeseung sat down slowly, rubbing his temple. Wyan placed the bowl in front of him and set a spoon beside it. Careful, it's hot. I know. She crossed her arms. Say it. He looked up. Say what? Thank you. His gaze lingered on her face longer than necessary. Thank you. Softer than before, more real. Arya hopped down. Can I have some too? Wyan smiled instantly. Of course. They ate together. Aria slurping too loudly, Heeseung pretending not to notice while Wyan kept reminding her to slow down. It felt painfully normal. Too normal. After dinner, Arya insisted on a story. I want the dragon one, she said, already climbing onto the couch with voices. Heeseung opened his mouth. I can. No, Wyan said immediately. You cannot. You will pass out mid-sentence. I won't. You sneezed 6 times today. That's not relevant. It absolutely is. Arya giggled. Wyan does better voices anyway. Trader. Heeseung leaned back, arms crossing, pretending to pout. I see how it is. Wyan took the book, settling beside Arya. Once upon a time. He did the voice, all of them. The dragon, The night, the crumbly old visit. Aria laughed so hard she nearly fell off the couch. Heeseung watched quietly. He had not realized how much he missed his someone, filling the silence without asking permission. Someone who didn't expect him to be sharp, perfect, composed. Ryan's voice softened near the end. Aria's eyes fluttered shut before the last page. Ryan carefully lifted her, carrying her upstairs. Heeseung followed, slow and quiet. They tucked Aria into bed together. Ryan, Aria murmured sleepily. Yes, baby, don't go. Ryan, heart squeezed. I will stay a little longer. Aria smiled, satisfied, and drifted off. They stood there for a moment after watching her breathe. Heeseung broke the silence. She loves you. Ryan swallowed. I love her too. They walked back to his room. It was past 8 when Ryan entered with another bowl of soup and medicine. Heeseung sat on the edge of the bed, hair damp, sleeves pushed up, looking unfairly handsome for someone sick. He placed everything on the table. Eat then sleep. I will. She turned to leave. His hand closed around her wrist. Warm, firm. Stay. Her breath hitched. He sung just for a minute. He sat quietly, tugging her closer. She stumbled, landing on the mattress beside him. Too close. His eyes searched her face. Less guarded now. He was dulling his control. You always take care of everyone, he murmured, but no one takes care of you. Ryan tried to laugh it off. That's not. He leaned closer. Don't. Her pulse raced. You came immediately. He continued softly. You stayed. You didn't complain once. I am your assistant. You are more than that. The words settled between them, heavy. He smiled faintly. You smell like soup. She laughed despite herself. You are delirious. Maybe. His thumb brushed her wrist unconsciously, but I have never been more honest. Silence, electric. Wine swallowed. You need sleep. He sighed, leaning back reluctantly. Promise you won't disappear by morning. She hesitated. I promise, she said quietly. His eyes closed, tension easing from his shoulders. Wine sat there longer than she meant to, watching him sleep, realizing too late that she was already in trouble.